So let's get into your art. Tell me about your art.
Well, I've been an artist my whole life. I've drawn, and I think it's one of the things that I escaped with to survive my abusive childhood, honestly, is I would just go out into the woods and get away from the craziness of my household, and I'd be in the forest and I just draw for hours. I draw dragonflies, I draw leaves, trees. Like, I just found nature to be like my sanctuary. And growing up, I had a lot of religion pushed on me. To be, my mom, and I love my mom, but she was always kind of searching for the perfect church and, like where we were supposed to be, and it never would work out. And then we'd be on our way to a new church. And I didn't feel church was a bad thing. I felt like there was beauty in some of the ritual, and I feel like there was a lot of people use it as a social connection, and that was great. But there was a lot of hypocrisy and just so much judgment that I felt was so unnecessary. And as a kid, I was always that kid, like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And constantly, and then I was like the kid that was in trouble because I wouldn't just follow authority. And this is where I feel like these children now, like, we really have to encourage them to challenge authority. I honestly, like, my stepdaughter, she'll come home and tell me things, and my children have told me things that happen at school, and I've always encouraged my children to think for themselves and to really not to be disrespectful to their elders, but to really challenge authority if it's out of alignment, because sometimes adults are out of alignment. So, basically, that's something that I think is important. But, I just basically started drawing young, and I love the creativity. I'm total Pisces. I'm very much into creativity, and I started painting, I want to say, maybe like 2003 or 4, somewhere in there. And one day I just was like, I want to paint. I just started painting. I just picked up a paintbrush, got some paints, and it's interesting because the first painting I ever did is called, it's the second painting I ever did. The first one was these flowers, but the second painting I did was this self-portrait, and it was myself on the planet, and there was hands holding the planet, and I was just coming out of the planet, and I'm holding my hands out in balance, like there's a heart in one hand and a dove in the other, and it's just representing balance, and that I was a gift to the planet to help restore balance. And I painted this years ago, and I had no clue that I was going to be a healer someday, really teaching all this. My paintings often express my emotions in ways that I don't really always get at the moment. And then I'll just be looking at that painting one day and be like, wow, like my soul had something to say through that painting. Yeah. And so I feel that there was a time, and I think it's a lot to do with the abusive. I really felt my voice, like when I was healing, I felt like I had cords just suffocating at my throat chakra. I wasn't really encouraged to be heard or to speak my truth. And so I think painting for me was important. It was helping me express these deeper emotions that were going on inside in a way that didn't threaten people as much, I guess. Like, it's not like you're just telling them that you don't agree with something. It's more subtle. But that's how I began painting, and I love painting. I just love the freedom of it. There's times where I always listen to either Wah or Deva Premal when I'm painting, and it's like I just really channel spirit, and I feel like just like as a healer, I'm just tuning in and listening, and I'm just letting myself be a channel. And when I paint, I open myself up and just thank Source for painting through me, like whatever is needed to be said, just to paint it through me. And since I learned that and really came about it with that approach, I love my creative time. Whereas when I was younger, I was very much more connected to ego, and I'd be like, oh, it doesn't look right, and I'm tearing it up, throw it in the trash. And now I teach a lot of classes and workshops, whether it's as a teacher for painting or in a yoga meditation class, and just helping students be able to release that ego, which is actually what I'm going to be talking about later today on my show, is the surrendering of the egoic mind, because that ego is really not serving us in any way. I mean, it really sucks the fun out of everything. And so whether it's your painting or you're wanting to be a leader of some, lead a movement, or you're wanting as a healer to help a client, if you are entering with ego, it's really going to get in the way. Mm-hmm. And if we can clear that ego, which I know we can, as we clear that ego, we can really arrive and give anything our presence and be amazingly powerful because of that presence. It's not really coming in with all this information like intellectually, which we can do if we want to, read books and gather information, that's fine. But it's really about putting that information into practice with a consistent practice. You could read 20,000 spiritual books and tell everyone how you read them all and brag about how you can't teach me anything because I've read every book. I've literally had someone tell me this before. And really, it doesn't matter how many books you gather, how much information you gather. It's, are you able to put that into practice? And if you can't, then it's really a burden. It's like you're carrying around this big backpack of books that you're not really making any use out of. So I feel our presence is really our power. If we learn anything we're ready to learn and understand, and we can just be very present, it's just going to help everything. The teachers in our education system, you've got healthcare people, we've got our political leaders, all of them have their intelligence, and that's great, but we need to enter every meeting, every discussion, every class with our presence, with how may I serve on our heart, and tune into the vibration of the beings in front of us, whether, that's a yoga class or you're in a board meeting. If we can really tune in to how may I serve, and we were each asking this question, and we're each looking at each other from the highest place, we're going to really shift some amazing things. And I see that it's coming. It's just a patience thing right now for, I think, a lot of earth angels and intuitive ones can get frustrated at times. And sometimes some humans will think that we're arrogant or that we're entitled. I've been called a lot of these things, and I don't see it that way. I don't feel that having a clear, conscious connection to source and a clear understanding of truth and discernment as being arrogant. I feel it's just, you're clear, you're aligned, and you have confidence in that. And as we can really stay in that place and just hold space for the rest of humanity that's shifting, and hold space and reverence for them, really hold a space of compassion, realize that they aren't at the same level of consciousness yet, and that's okay, because everybody's exactly where they're meant to be. I think it's important that we just look out with that compassion, but that we don't feel we need to bow down. We don't feel we need to dim our light because others can't handle the intensity. Right. I really feel our intensity is here for a purpose, to kind of push evolution along. That intensity is here to help encourage a shift in a direction, but that it shouldn't be angry or aggressive. And I think that's where, even earth angels need to watch that. They need to be careful that they don't get pissed off and then they're just ranting and raving about the ignorant humans. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand completely.
Yeah, we just got to watch that. But anyway.
I agree. We have so much in common. Oh my gosh.
I knew that already. I felt that intuitively when I was reaching out to connect with you. I
think you and I could talk for hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe we will, huh?
Someday, or eventually, or here soon even. I see a lot more videos with you, too.
Awesome.
see projects. This is great because, I think that you are totally right where people like myself and others are. We are just, I guess, not in a rebellious way, but we are on the rise. We are waking up. We are becoming aware and mindful and present. And it's I'm not shutting down people who have the education or certifications to back themselves up, but it's not going to be in those pieces of paper that say you're certified in this and that you got a BA in that. And I mean, not that those people will not be of use, or not have a calling. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it is more of a soul calling, and no amount of books or education or certifications or any degrees of any kind is going to bring forth this awakening and bring Mother Earth back to where she needs to be.
Yes.
And so I hear you, because it is starting with a lot of unexpected people like me and you and others like us that aren't going to go out there with the PhDs or what have you, to back us up. We are going solely on spirit and
soul calling.
The soul calling, definitely. Yeah. And yes, there will be those with the PhDs and that will be waking up and hearing that soul calling too, but they're going to realize, I think, that it's not going to be behind the education that they've had spent so much money on, but that's the amazing part. That's why we need to start listening to these children. Yeah. Because just because we are adults does not mean that we know better. Because sometimes out of the mouth of babes.
Yes,
and there's so much more wisdom than we could ever have in a lifetime. So
same with animals too. Like I think people, sometimes they'll help assist healing animals, and like I had a client once that I helped heal her dog, and the dog was having a lot of ear infections and a lot of issues, and she's like, could you do a healing on my dog? And I was like, absolutely. So I tuned into the dog, and this dog was amazing. The soul of this dog, she was so intelligent, and she was really pissed off at her owner, and she basically told me through her energy that the ear infections were coming from being cursed at. She was spoken down to a lot, and it was causing her infection in her ear chakras. And the dog was at the place, kind of like if you were in marriage counseling, and you got one spouse that's just kind of, and the other spouse that just kind of like, I'm done. Like, if things don't change, I'm out of here. And basically that was like her dog. Her dog was just like, I'm done. If she doesn't respect me and see that I'm this intelligent spirit guide for her, then I'm done with her. And when I told her that, she was just like, oh my God, like I never realized a dog could be a teacher. And so it really helped her to see differently. And after that, she started to tune into her dog as a spiritual being, not just like this low-life animal that's below her. And it was amazing, the shift in their relationship, and the dog's ears healed, and everything kind of found balance again. But I agree, like you're saying, that, it's really, there's spiritual beings that are here that are very intelligent, that are remembering, and they've been here many times, like, been here, done that, and it's not so important, PhD of life, PhD of school. There's different levels of a PhD, and it's really not about ego. Like you were saying, if we have, like I teach yoga and yoga, meditation, and Pilates teacher trainings, and owning my own studio and hiring instructors. I remember when I'd audition, there would be some instructors that would come and they'd have amazing resumes. They'd look really good. And then I would have a class with them, and they weren't connecting. I felt like they weren't present. They were all that they held about themselves was in that paper. And a lot of companies hire according to that. They just say, oh, what's on that paper? oh, okay, this person's paper looks better than that person. I really feel the shift that's happening on the planet for every job will come when we are tuning into each other vibrationally and really like, what does this soul have to offer, and how present